All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Thursday night live stream on Drums and Drams. Sorry about that. StreamYard, which is the platform that I run these live streams through, is telling me that traffic is really high. So I hope that that just means the stream started late because it wouldn't let me in. I hope that was the only issue, and I hope that it's not going to be the thing where like the internet connection keeps cutting in and out. So let me know if you do see or hear any issues with the connection. That would seemingly not be on my end from my house. It would just be a StreamYard thing, which is like this browser that I run through. If anything does end up going wrong, obviously I'll try to get the stream back up. But if StreamYard ends up getting really stupid, then maybe I'll just have to go directly through YouTube, which is not something that I normally do. I'm not sure what that interface actually looks like on the creator side. So if that happens, just bear with me and we'll kind of get through that together. But I think we're good for now. So let me know if everything's okay on your end, if it looks and sounds the same. Yeah, Matt says StreamYard has a refractory period. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. It was giving me some error message. That's why I was actually ready at 9:03. But, Oh, Chris, what's up, man? Okay, so we're going to talk about this barrel pick that happened yesterday, but I got to get something in my glass. Hang on. Lots of floor whiskey right now in this room. I just cleaned it all up, and now there's a bunch more. But it's a bunch of stuff I'm going to get rid of. All right, so I got to get a little something in my glass. Hit that like button on the way in, please, if you don't mind. We've got a lot of cool stuff to taste tonight. We've got some like kind of higher ticket bottles. Well, Chris, speaking of how long it takes for us to do a barrel pick, we have to finalize the barrel pick on the stream because we picked 3 ryes, and we're going to cut that down to 2 right now on this stream. So I actually don't know where those samples went. Hang on, I think they're in the living room still. Hang on. Okay, here we go. So I have to make an executive decision on this stream from the barrel samples that I have from yesterday. So we'll talk about that here in a second. So I'm going to say hello to everybody. Guys, let me know what you're sipping on this evening. I got, obviously, Eagle Rare in the glass to start. And so, run this down real quick, what we're going to taste tonight. You saw on the thumbnail, Evan Williams 23, the most recent release. This just arrived today from Jeb. Thank you, Jeb. The 2024 Evan Williams 23. I've got some samples here from Jesse. One is Michter's Toasted Rye 2023 edition. So I haven't tasted this yet. I've only heard great things. Also from Jesse, a 4-gate Kelvin 6. This was not on the thumbnail of the video, but I've got Kelvin 6 here to taste. Those are going to be the samples. Now, I've also got Mr. Matt Porter ADHD Whiskey's Slippin' Jimmy 2 backbone pick. And I'm going to taste that next to the Drums and Drams Dark Arts pick. This is dropping tomorrow, so we'll talk more information about the pick. I'll give you tasting notes on this because this is most likely going to go public. After Patreon gets their shot, no limit on bottles in the Patreon. This is dropping tomorrow at noon throughout the day to the different tiers. And then at some point, assuming it does go public, that'll probably happen, like I would say, on Saturday maybe. So I'll give you some tasting notes on this. You can see we've done some damage on this bottle already. And I will compare it to the Junkies pick as well, which they did on their stream on Tuesday night, if you guys happen to catch that. And like I said, Matt, with a 9-year MGP pick, not from this same lot of barrels, but similar-ish whiskey. I'll put that next to each other. We'll kind of talk about the similarities and differences. Now, here's kind of a surprise on the stream, and this is going to be what we do for the giveaway tonight. Yes, we are dropping the Dark Arts pick tomorrow, but we actually did a pick before the Dark Arts pick from Middle West Spirits, a wheat whiskey that's over 130 proof, 6.5 years old, and the Dark Arts just happened to get bottled faster. But the Middle West is bottled, and we're going to drop it at the beginning of June, and I have that pick right here. And not only do I have one of those, but I've got a whole case of them. And so these are going to pop up in some giveaways. And so some folks are going to get this Middle West wheat whiskey pick 3 weeks before it actually drops, which I think is going to be really cool. So tonight we're giving away at least one of these. Might end up being two. We'll give away a Middle West, and I'm also going to give away a sealed Rack and Tour rye. You guys know that I loved this media sample so much that I bought 2 bottles of it myself. And we're going to give one of those away as well. So a Middle West, a Rack and Tour rye. There's going to be some samples to go along with those, which will include, if you win the Middle West, then you'll get a sample of the Rack and Tour. If you win the Rack and Tour, you get a sample of the Middle West. I'm going to include the Detlings from last week, the Gold Wax, the Brown Wax, the Dark Arts Blunt Blend, the other Middle West here that I'm going to taste tonight, which is their 8-year bourbon. They just released only 50 bottles of this. Sold out in 30 minutes at the distillery, so we're going to taste this tonight as well, and that'll go in the sample pack too. So people are going to be winning bottles of an unreleased pick, Rack and Tour rye, plus samples. That's what we're going to do. And, if things get a little crazy, I can throw in another bottle of the Middle West too. It's a really, really cool whiskey. We'll taste it tonight as well. But we got so much whiskey to get through. I got to play it a little safe. After a barrel pick yesterday, I'm on fumes right now. I'm a little fried, but that's okay. It's going to be fun. Yeah, there is a lot of dark whiskey on the table. That's not just the lighting. That's real life. What's up, Toshi? Adam Hyman's going to go crazy, man. He said he's going to get 6 or 7 of the Dark Arts. They're not cheap, but it is good whiskey. We'll get there. But I'm going to say cheers to you guys. Little Eagle Rare in the glass. All right. Travis, yeah, I did get that tracking email. Thanks, man. All right, so let's get into it here. Travis says, can't wait to see how he clapped Dan's cheeks at the pick. Yeah, we'll talk about the pick. Josh, what's up, man? Joe Dickinson. Adam B, are we 3 minutes late yet? A little more, Good to see Marty, Jeremy, Daniel P. Kyle says, found an Evan Williams single barrel on the shelf for $38 in Massachusetts this week. It was the 2015 vintage and bottled this year. I do believe it is making at least a small comeback, Kyle, to non-Kentucky states. I think I read something about that, actually. That they had more than they expected, and they were releasing it again outside of Kentucky. I don't know if that's a permanent deal, though. I'm going to keep scrolling here. Good to see everybody. Mike Conklin. Leo. Yeah. Cam Standard Time. CST. Okay, good to see everybody. I'm going to keep scrolling down. Am I late? What did I miss? Nah, I was late, Jerry. Paul P said, turn off the OnlyFans stream. Okay. Prozac says, just snagged a Jim Beam 7 on sale, already at $20. Nice. Very cool. Chris, had a great time, Cam. Thanks to you and the Junkies. Man, yesterday was so fun. Got a little wild, but it was fun. Wayne Arnold, sipping Ben Holiday Bourbon Lore pick. Wayne, let me know. I think I owe you a message. I owe a few folks messages I haven't been able to keep up the last couple of days. If that's the case, please remind me. Please drop me another line on whatever, if it was email or Discord. I can't remember. I'm not sure. I might have that wrong. Okay, we're going to keep scrolling down. We're almost caught up here. And so Les says, Evan Williams single barrels all over the Memphis area, so it does sound like it's getting dropped. Cushmax, with barrel prices dropping, are picks like this going to get cheaper in the future? I don't know, actually. The deal is, well, for Dark Arts, I know Dark Arts, the pick is expensive. I know that 150 is expensive, and that's why when I take polls in the Patreon... Sorry, I thought I heard something weird. When I took a poll in the Patreon... The Dark Arts pick has a lot less interest than I would have expected a 10-year MGP bourbon, and I know it's primarily based on the price point. But like for the River Roots stuff, it's priced extremely reasonably, $115 for those 11.5-year ryes, which are slamming, and a lot of their other stuff too. I did hear, the barrel prices are dropping as well. I don't know if companies are going to drop their prices. I mean, that is something they probably don't want to do, but I think it just depends on if the demand falls as well, then maybe they're going to have to adjust. But I don't have a lot of like those relationships close enough to ask around too much. But for instance, with River Roots, I thought they might even raise the prices on these next picks, even though it's the same whiskey, because $115 is damn cheap. But they're keeping the same price. So to me, even just maintaining that lower price point for those products is like a win in my book. So it's kind of like a non-answer because I just don't really know. But other folks that are in the industry probably have much better answers and ideas of how they would handle it as a company. All right, Keith T, good to see you. Thank you for the super chat. Says here you go. I'll start tracking super chats, guys. Give me just a second. Put it on my screen down here. All right, Keith T, I got you in for 2. I appreciate that. Matthew Black. I know that name, man. Another Rhythm X alum drinking some Bardstown Series 11. That's a great one. And I think Matt Porter, ADHD Whiskey, just threw out a review of that one today. Haven't watched it yet, though, but it's freaking good whiskey. Mike G, looking forward to the Dark Arts pick. Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. We're gonna taste that probably pretty much next. Yeah, I think we'll taste the Dark Arts next. Get my palate into MGP. We'll talk about the pick up front. Then I have to make a decision on these 3 River Roots rye barrels from yesterday, and we'll talk more detail about these 3 barrels when we get there in the stream. But let's do this Dark Arts comparison with Matt's backbone pick as well. So let's get these things poured out. And if you guys have this pick from Matt, and if you have the Junkies Dark Arts pick, go ahead and pour that, and maybe we can sip along together. That'd be kind of cool. Pink Dan, I see you tag me in that post. I don't need any of that. Don't tag me on a Heaven Hill 17 post. I need my money. All right, so we got Matt's here. In the center of the 3 is going to be the Drums and Drams Dark Arts pick. And please do hit that like button on your way in, if you would not mind. And then on your left is going to be the Junkies Dark Arts pick. Okay. Great. What's up, Roy R? Good to see you, dude. Toshi says, give it a while, LOL. NDPs or even distilleries bought or produced an aged whiskey with an expected value when they sell the barrels or bottles and price. Secondary is dropping, but I doubt MSRPs move. I think they might move, but I think you're right that it's not going to be some overnight adjustment. I think it's a much slower thing for that kind of a shift to happen. Daniel P, I wouldn't say 115 is cheap. It's the 10-year that people seem to find reasonable, $10 per year. I still think when I say 10 or when I say 115 cheap on it, I particularly mean in terms of the quality of the whiskey. Maybe not on stats wise, but I think everybody that's tasted this first rye pick, the consensus is that this is an oddly amazing barrel that we got very lucky to find that first go around. So to me, this is like $200 rye and a $115 price point. I think it's solid. Oh, the Junkies mentioned Barrel Craft Spirits offloading a lot of their barrels. Yeah, that happened, or that's been happening, I guess. And let's see. Paul P just got the barrels for Hope Dark Arts. Nice. What you think of Peerless Double Oaked? I like that bottle quite a bit, Sean. I think Peerless Double Oaked is one of the less cloyingly sweet double oaks on the market, but it doesn't go too overly woody and young like a lot of cheaper, lower age double oaks. I think Peerless strikes a great balance. Okay, so let's get into this now. Let's go ahead and start. Let's start with the Junkies. I'm not going to blind these. There's no reason to blind these. I could tell you which one of these in a blind is which, I do think. So we're going to start with the Junkies pick, which I know people have said that I think I went a little over analytical on this last time. This is a double barrel blend. It's not a single barrel. 2 barrels put together. So anyways, here we go. On the nose. Yeah, this is about 110.4 proof. And on the nose, this is all like dark blackberry notes, dark grapey, plummy notes, but super sweet. And it's got some funk to it. And I love the nose on the Junkies pick. I think this is exactly what I want old 36% rye MGP to smell like. When I look for these kind of barrels, when I'm picking through stuff, I want dark and funky. That, at least that's the expectation in my mind. Paul, can we get any of your picks in California? Yeah, I think Bourbon Outfitter ships to California. So the way that we do the picks is it drops to the Patreon members first. So if you join the Patreon, $5, $10, $25, $50 a month gets you varying levels of access. If you jumped in at the $5 tier, you're pretty much guaranteed a shot at one of the Dark Arts bottles. So, you know, that's where all that information goes, unless something goes public. If the Patreon doesn't sell through the barrel, then we drop it to the public. And I'll probably post that here on YouTube and on Instagram and some other places. And, you know, Dark Art's probably going to make it there. So, Junkie's pick just smells amazing. I love the nose on this. Palate's so sweet. But like I complained about the first time, which has become kind of a fun running gag, the mid palate kind of slumps for me. It feels like the product of blending two barrels together that canceled each other out in terms of drinking experience, even though the flavors are so good. And then as it gets into the finish, it does start to ramp back up just a little bit. Not necessarily with spice, but with, like, the flavors just burst forward in the finish. So, I think it's a really solid pick, except for that mid palate. That's the one thing that I had, you know, that I was being a complainer about. All right, so then onto the Drums and Drams pick. So let's check this out. This one is a slightly higher proof, 112.2. We had 170 bottles come out of this barrel, which for 10-year MGP bourbon, 170 bottles is a lot to come out of a barrel. And when we did this pick, in the back of my mind, I knew all the complaints that I levied at the Junkies pick about the mid palate. So I thought we need to pick something that has a substantial drinking experience so that this is a fun comparison. So we found a really great barrel. We were between two. We were between one that was kind of flat as well, with dark, funky notes, similar to the Junkies, which selfishly, profile-wise, I might like better. But this particular barrel drinks super intensely, and I just felt like most people drink whiskey. They don't sit and nose it all night. And so we need to pick the whiskey that drinks better as opposed to noses a little bit better. Luke Stevens got to try the BJ River Roots rye pick tonight at the distillery. Nice, man. Nice. Toshi says, I'm in California and I order Cam's picks. Josh Fritz, what do you think of Fox and Odin Double Oak? Haven't had it. The standard Fox and Odin is fine. It's nothing. At the price point, it's a pass for me. I just think you can get probably better stuff for the price. And I know there's I think the standard is also 8 to 15, but it just doesn't feel like there's a lot of 15 going on in there. All right, so the Drums and Drams Dark Arts pick on the nose. This is a little bit brighter sweetness. It's not as dark and funky as the Junkies. This one is more vanilla, cream soda. Kind of like orange cream, cream soda, lots of baking spice notes. A little bit of a roasted almond thing in here, which is something that you get on some MGP products, but not all. So to me, on the nose, it smells like a combination of 36% MGP bourbon, but it also has a little Kentucky element to me because it's kind of got these baking spice and like vanilla notes that I'm used to sometimes on Kentucky bourbons. So it's an interesting barrel for me. There's also just kind of this like tobacco thing in there, a little bit of a funky tobacco thing. All right, so onto the palate. And it's like super bold whiskey on the palate. And that's why we picked it. The way this thing drinks, it's so bright and sweet, but not in a young way. In a vanilla, like, we were talking about whiskey. We were talking about one of the picks at River Roots yesterday, which is one of the three that I have in front of me that we'll get to. And one of them we were calling fat, fat guy whiskey. Just something that you're just going to, it's so sweet. You sit and pound it. It's so good. That's kind of what this Dark Arts has. It has some of that type of sweetness to it. Man. So for me, it's like, I like the way that our Dark Arts drinks. That's the standout. The finish is super long. But I still actually, on the nose, I think I would probably pick the Junkies on the nose. Like if I didn't taste these whiskeys, if I just nosed them, I'd probably have preference towards the Junkies. And then if I drink it, I would have preference towards ours because of the way it drinks and the explosiveness. Oh yeah, the brisket last night was great. So the River Roots guys took us all out to Mabel's Barbecue up in Cleveland, and the brisket there is the real deal. Yeah, Daniel says the nose is important. I love nosing a good whiskey too, but I agree palate is priority. And I've been trying to really keep that in mind at these picks. Les, I think Dan, they had a little bit of conflicting messages, Sean and Dan, back and forth in their blinds. I was getting confused of which one was in which glass, to be honest. But I think they had the same kind of vibes. Like mine is more vanilla. I think Dan used the word butterscotch. I would say more like vanilla cream soda. And like I said, there's a little Kentucky element to it, which I think is what he's alluding to with butterscotch. Yeah, Michael Simon. That's Michael Simon's place. Yeah. But it is interesting, like even Dan and Sean, they were talking on their Tuesday stream that these whiskeys, once they sit out for a while, things start to really kind of fluctuate and change with them. And I've noticed that as well. Like suddenly mine is smelling darker. And the Junkies is smelling more like it's not as dark fruit. It's like more chocolate now. So I think a lot of these MGP barrels have confused me. And I think that's also what made the pick so difficult for us at Dark Arts was that we tasted so many that things start to really run together, and that's tough. Chris says, Cam, how was Josh today? Chris, if you mean Jesse, Jesse's all good, man. I think that's what... Or is there a Josh I'm forgetting about? All right, so let's go on real quick, and then we'll kind of go down the line. Let's go to Matt's backbone pick. So this is a 9-year MGP, but it's the lower rye mash bill, the 21% rye, not the 36. So this is 75-21-4. This also yielded 168 bottles, so similar yield. Proof is significantly higher on Matt's pick, and the whiskey is so dark. This backbone, amazing color, 123.3 proof. Okay. So Matt's pick is like super dark nose. Dry, dark fruits. Heavy, heavy cinnamon. It's super intense. And there's a little bit of a savory thing in here. Yeah, just a teeny bit of like almost like a soy sauce kind of thing. And obviously you go too heavy on that kind of a note, then you get kind of nasty craft whiskey. This is just a teeny bit in the background that adds like another dimension to it. Smells good. It's a little tight because MGP at this proof always feels tight to me. 123. It's so concentrated and intense that I think it's a whiskey that I need to get on my palate before I go back to the nose, and then I can really dive in. But right now, I think my palate just needs to get used to this stuff. Damn, that's so flavorful. Holy shit. And it's a not hot, not overly hot, but it's just an intense whiskey. Whew. Slippin' Jimmy 2 is no joke. That might be my favorite backbone that Matt's ever picked. I think he's picked a few. I know for sure the other one that he picked was fruitier. I feel like it was a little lighter, a little fruitier. That might have been Slippin' Jimmy number 1. This one is just balls to the wall cinnamon, dark fruit, dry dark fruit. Man. That is good stuff. What's funny is that it's very different than the two dark arts that we have. I know they're different mash bills, but both MGP, similar ages. Matt's pick could not be more different than these two, and that's kind of fun. I was actually thinking to myself, man, if Matt's pick just tastes like an advanced version of the dark arts because it's got a higher proof, if it just tastes like a more intense version of that, and it's $50 less, I'm gonna be like so bummed out and jealous. Like, we got to go do a backbone pick, but it is really a different experience, which is cool. No, Chris, yeah, I know. I can only imagine, man. You guys had to drive back. I'd be very sleep deprived if I were you. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Man, so at the end of the day, all three of these I think are really nice whiskeys. I think they all have their standout qualities, and they all have their own little thing that I wish was better, including the pick that we did, right? I'm never just going to hype it to hype it. Ours, I wish the nose was a little bit darker and like a little bit richer. The Junkies, I think the mid-palate lulls, and Matt's pick is like hyper aggressive on the palate, and to me it takes a second to get accustomed to it before I'm like locked in and dialed into the whiskey. I think they're all really great. And, you know, again, if you are interested in the dark arts thing for Drums and Drams, $150 a bottle. Bourbon Outfitter drops tomorrow, starting at noon for the highest tier. And then if it goes public, that'll happen probably sometime Saturday. So there we go. I'm so excited to have second barrel pick happening, you know, dropping. Third barrel pick is on the way, June 7th. The first one was an absolute banger from River Roots there. So really happy with everything, how everything is turning out. All right. I'm going to pour some of these back. What's up, Joe? Oh, I just poured all down the front of that bottle. That's going to be all over the table. All right. There's no need to, for tonight's giveaway, the samples that are going to go in with the bottles, there's no reason to include any of these dark arts picks because it goes on sale tomorrow. So it is still available. So I'm not going to include samples of these. It's just not really a reason to do it. All right. Luke says exciting stuff. Thanks, man. Yeah, very exciting. So let's move on now. But while my palate is still somewhat fresh, and let's finalize a barrel pick right now. And let me tell you guys a little bit about everything that happened yesterday with the River Roots barrel pick that we did. All right, and there we go. So 148. I'll just pour all of these out. Every whiskey drinker has a well-seasoned table. Who said that? I love it. Leo says you should blend the Junkies and the Drums and Drams dark arts. Okay, I'll let me do that. I think that's a good idea. All right, so we'll get these River Roots out in the glass here, get it just a little bit of air, do a quick dark arts blend. Why not? 125 people in here. We just tasted the Drums and Drams dark arts pick that's dropping tomorrow. Please hit that like button if you are just now jumping in. And we're about to finalize a barrel pick live on stream, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm indecisive. It's my fault. So that's why we're going to do this. All right. So this is going to be the least exact blend ever. That was Drums and Drams dark arts. And this is Junkies dark arts. All right, so that's probably about half and half. B Factor, I've never had anything from Backbone, but my local specs has about 8 to 10 different options. That's a lot. To me, there are a lot of hits and there are some misses, kind of like from anywhere. The thing about Backbone is that usually value is so high. Pricing's really good on a lot of their stuff. So when you find something from Backbone that is amazing, it's not only amazing quality, but then you feel like you stole the whiskey, essentially. That's what I love about them. And then for me, I tend to not buy Backbone products anymore unless my friends pick them, because then I just rely on people's palates that I trust. You know, it's a little bit safer that way, I think, with a company that does put out kind of a wide variety of different stuff, which we've seen. They've got Irish sitting around that's rebarreled that Sean picked. They've got that the Dusty Junkies pick that Dan did with the wave stave barrels. You know, there's all sorts of stuff that they have. So I would rather someone tell me, hey, I picked this. Trust me, it's good. And, you know, then I'll buy in. Chris, going to crash. Barrel 148 is my vote. If it's still, it is in these three. See you later. Thanks, man. Good to see you. Good to hang out. Mike, the soy sauce note on Matt's pick was a good call. I hadn't picked it up before, and it really adds an extra backbone to it. See what I did there? Joe, I'm also a big fan, especially when they rebarrel. I've had some that are overcooked and some that are not. So that's another one of those things where it's like, I think if I really want to actually get in touch with them. I don't know the guys at Backbone, but I think it would be very cool to do a pick there. I've seen videos, I think, from the Junkies maybe. It looked like a cool spot. All right, so this is the Dark Arts blend. You do kind of get the best of both worlds. You get a little of the punch from the Drums and Drams pick. Oh, voice crack. Puberty. But there's still this darker, rich thing going on that's almost a little Buffalo Tracy in the blend. Oh, shit. Well, that might be the answer. Just blend them. They do complement each other nicely. You still get the darkness from the Junkies, but the intensity of the palate's there. There's no lull. It kind of fixed both issues, I feel like, that each pick, for me, the small issue that they have. What's up, Avery? Just got on to say what's up. Hopefully I can catch up when I'm off work. These new picks sound great. Luke, I heard an interesting... yeah, we're not going to say that live on the stream. But yes. That's what we've been calling that barrel. But me and Ryan from River Roots, we've been texting and using that word for the barrel. Wayne, was there a competitive or collaborative vibe between you and the Junkies during the pick? Did y'all work together to help each other select the best barrels? Yeah, so in the beginning, let's talk about it now. Now we're into River Roots land. So for everybody that's kind of maybe wasn't around, we've had a lot of new faces jump in the last month or two for Drums and Drams. The very first barrel pick we did was this rye, 11 and a half years from River Roots. We were, I think, the first YouTube channel. You know, they had some clubs come in, but the first like YouTube channel to go in and do a barrel pick with them. And we kind of got the pick of the litter when it came to this stuff. We were the first people to try the MGP bourbons that they got and the ryes. And we landed on this barrel, which to me is one of my favorite MGP ryes I've ever tried. And I'm not hyping. I'm not self-hyping. It's just that we got lucky to find this barrel. I couldn't believe it. So with that said, being the first pick, it sold super fast. And other people, I've sent samples out. People wanted to try it. And everyone's wondered, like, hey, can we get some more of that stuff? So we just did another pick with them. And I called Dan and we talked about it. And I'm like, dude, you got to come do this. You got to come do a pick at River Roots at some point. And I think it was a little bit like, yeah, we'll get to it. And then all of a sudden, we just kind of made it happen. It's like, hey, let's go do it at the same time. And my goal was to go and pick another rye barrel. They had just gotten 12 new barrels in of this 95.5 rye, 11 and a half years old, all around 120-ish proof, give or take a few. And we were going to be the first ones, all of us, to taste these 12 barrels. No one else has picked any of them yet. So when we got there, I think they had popped 2 barrels already, and the folks at River Roots had tried them, and the other 10 barrels were still sealed. And we popped the bungs on all of them. And we started off, the Junkies had their crew, and we had our crew, both small, kind of, 3 or 4 people each. And we just sampled out of every single barrel down the line. Most people were just using 1 or 2 glasses and kind of taking some notes on it and then dumping it out and going back. And I brought 12. I brought 12 glasses because I'm like, I'm that's who I am. And I laid them all out on the table, and as we poured them, I just lined up a grid of all the glasses, labeled with which barrels they were, and we started eliminating from there. And so we kind of did the beginning process separately. Like, junkies were on one side of the table, drums and drams on the other side. Once we got through it, we were saying, let's go ahead and find like our top 4, and then see if we have any overlaps, and then we can cross that bridge when we get there. We only had 1 barrel that overlapped. Now, what I do have to say, along the way, I took way longer than the junkies because we were blown away by the quality of these barrels. Of the 12, there were only 3 that we were pretty easily like, nah, we'll pass on that. 8 or 9 of them were like, we could pick pretty much any of these, and they're that good. That makes a barrel pick much harder when all of the whiskey's good, because then you're splitting hairs about every little thing. And you guys know my personality, that's a problem, and it made it take way freaking longer. And they were just making fun of us and giving us shit. But to Wayne's point, we did end up, the junkies had a final blind, and I tasted the final blind with them, and theirs came down to a similar issue that we're talking about on the dark arts. It's like, do you want a better nose or a better palate, right? And I chose the one for them. I said, I think if you're going to go with which one drinks better, it's this one, even though I like the nose of the other one better. I don't remember which one they chose of that final 2, if it was the one that I picked or the other one. Not sure. For us, we narrowed ours down. Now we're getting around to what we're doing here. We narrowed ours down to basically 5 barrels, like a top 5 out of the 12, and we put 1 to the side. There was 1 barrel that tasted so damn funky and cheesy and weird, and it tastes like Redemption Rye 18. It has that funky note that Redemption Rye 18 has. I just put it aside immediately, and I'm like, it doesn't matter what else happens, we have to have that barrel. But I also would like to get another barrel that's not as funky as that, because this is going to be a divisive barrel. That is right here. This is the funky barrel. So then we kept narrowing it down. We got to 2 more. 1, which is the one on your left of the 3. This is barrel 148, or Fat Guy whiskey is what we were calling it. This one is the brightest of the 3, but it is so damn sweet for a rye. Yeah. That's why we call it a Fat Guy whiskey. The middle one is kind of similar to me on the nose to our first pick, but not as much on the palate. It's a great balance of dark and light stuff, sweet, funky, spicy. It's got a little bit of everything, but it's very balanced, but it's a little bit too balanced. It's a little bit too all over the place. That's my complaint on that one. And then finally, the really funky barrel is so unique that we have to pick it. So we had determined that we wanted to pick 3. We were going to release 2 at once and then release another one later at a different time. So do like a paired release and then a third later. And I talked to Ryan on the phone today, Ryan from River Roots, and we just kind of decided we should narrow this down to 2. We should eliminate one of these barrels. And instead of doing a third rye, which selfishly I would love to do, we're going to probably pick a 9-year Beam bourbon. They've got some 78.5% corn, which is that mystery mash that floated around a few years ago. They've got some of those Beam barrels around 120 proof. And I think they're going to send me 8 barrel samples, and I'll do that on a live stream in the next couple of weeks. And we'll just go ahead and select one of those Beam barrels instead. That way there's a little more variety in it, and we're not taking a quarter of their rye barrels. I just think this is going to be a better solution. So that is the long-winded story of what's happening. And so then I'm going to taste these right now, and we're going to figure out what's going on, which one we're going to eliminate. I know this doesn't mean a lot to folks out there who can't taste along with me, but maybe this is I'll try to make it quick, a little bit of insight into the process of going through this. And you missed all the real annoying shit that happened yesterday when I couldn't make up my mind. Devin says funky and bright picks. I think the 2 more contrasting will be good to release side by side. And the plan was, if we did pick the 3, that we would do those as a pair. We would do the more balanced one as a standalone later. So let's see. Tylese, pick the funky and the sweet. Those sound like more fun. That's my feeling from your live Patreon. Yeah, we were also pretty tanked last night on that Patreon stream, so my palate is fresh now, and I feel like I can approach this a little more realistically. Phil, Junkie Drum for the win. Evening, everyone. Killing me, Cam. What happened to 6 picks per year? I know that first poll that we took was before the influx happened, and now the demand is like, it's more than that, it seems. I mean, I could do another poll, but we're going to hit 12 plus. I don't know what we're going to hit this year. I'm just going with the flow for right now, and if we need to regroup along the way, if things stop selling, then we'll cross that bridge. Do you think we'll see more of this aged MGP rye hitting NDPs? Yes. There's a lot more floating around out there. It's just whether or not people want to spend the money to buy the barrels. My advice to anyone thinking about it, if you have the money to buy barrels, is buy these barrels. They're very, very good. And the percentage of, to me, it was like 2 out of 3 barrels that we tasted yesterday were fucking amazing. Like totally worth more than $115 a bottle for me. That's like 8 out of the 12, I would say. The first pick we did, 2 out of the 4 were in that realm. So like the batting average on finding a great barrel out of these that you just kind of buy and hope you get good ones, it's a pretty good percentage. So for any company that does single barrels and batch products, it's a perfect thing for me. It's like take half the barrels that are less than stellar, batch them, take the other half that are standouts, let people do picks of those. That's my advice to anyone looking for these these are special. Daniel, I think you're right. I think we'll go legit green wax on the next 2. I think we could do that. Pink Dan, why is the Middle West juice so dark? Dude, look at this. This is our wheat whiskey pick. It's as dark as you think it is. Like, I don't know if you can even really... Look at this. It's crazy. It's crazy. We'll get there. Derek, what's up, dude? Of course I remember you, bro. We just did another pick. Yeah, I was like, we got to call Derek, man. It's awesome to see you do another barrel pick from River Roots and doing well. Keep up the strong work. Thanks, bro. Thanks for saying hey. That's so cool that you're here, man. Mike Conklin, 6.5 years on the Middle West pick. All right, let's get into this tasting. We're going to start with barrel 148, Fat Guy Whiskey, the brighter one. Let's see what this is all about. All right, so a little tight on the nose of this one, and that was something I picked up on yesterday too. It's not that it crawls up your nose. It's not overly hot, overly alcoholic. It's just that the flavors feel constricted. And sometimes when you dump these barrels, that goes away. When you dump barrels, things change. They aerate quite a bit. And problems like this with some of these whiskeys can go away. But on the nose, to me, I get a lot of vanilla, big caramel notes, like tons of rye spice, kind of minty, but it's very caramel vanilla forward. And I actually get a tinge of a candied grape note at the back end. And there's like a pretty present wood note to this. And it's not really dark and funky. It's like mid-range oak. Whereas I think on our first pick, which, you know what? I may as well pour out a little bit of our first pick, just as a point of reference. I don't want to always compare to it. That's dangerous, because then you can get skewed perceptions, but I'll let it sit out here for a sec. All right, so that's this one. And there's actually some menthol on this Fat Guy whiskey. Menthol and vanilla typically go well together. So let's go on to 153. This is... I do have these in the correct order. Okay. This one in the middle is actually the funky barrel. I said it wrong earlier. 153 is the funky weird barrel. Oh, man. Just smells like leather. Funky, funky leather. I'm going to do quick down the line 155. All right. I got to get these on the palate. Use silver wax for the second pick, leaving the first pick as gold standard. Yeah, maybe we do like, if we pick a funky and the sweet one, maybe we do like a green and a... If the funky one, if it's leathery, maybe we could do something like a like a silver or a gray. I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right. I'm going to go ahead and take a sip of the Fat Guy whiskey. Oh. You got to get these on the palate. I'm coming off of very different styles of whiskey coming into this. Oh my God, that's so good. And it drinks intensely. Very, very intensely. And the finish and the palate are going on forever. So this is another one of these cases. The nose on this is a little bit, it's not exactly what I wanted. It's not 100% perfect. It's very good though. And again, a little lighter and sweeter. But this palate is... Man. Man. That is good. Vanilla menthol, are we talking York peppermint patty? Not quite that much. A little bit of it, but... Yeah, it's definitely a little different. Like the first dry that we had a little bit more of that root beer thing going on than this first Fat Guy whiskey, this barrel does. All right. Let's go to this funky one. I got to get on the palate. Oh my God. The palate is not nearly as explosive. So these are the two most stratified back to back here. It is so leathery. And I'm not going to use the word mineral because it's not mineral. What does it remind me of? I sometimes call this, when I'm tasting scotch, like wet rock. Well, that sounds like mineral, but this is different. It's not Dickel mineral. It's not Dickel mineral. It's just old-ass whiskey, like industrial. I sometimes talk about scotch in this way, like a little industrial kind of note to it. Yeah, Mike, it sounds like we're going to do 2 and not 3. So, and I think it's probably overall a smarter move. That way we don't monopolize it too much. And metallic, yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one. It's such a unique whiskey. We were calling it Luke, you know what we were calling it, but we were calling it cheesy, like cheese curds. And this is a must-have barrel. Huge dark cherry notes. So sweet and funky and savory and oaky, rich. It's the least rye tasting of the bunch easily, and it tastes like Redemption Rye 18. I've never had a rye whiskey give me the experience or get me close to the experience of Redemption 18, which frankly, I'm not a big Redemption 18 fan. It has what this note is, but like 500% more, and I think it's actually too much in Redemption 18. I thought it was too funky. This one gets you to that experience without being overdone. Man. Oh, are we talking mouth wizard, Toshi? Hang on. Okay, let me see. Sorry, I've been just ranting. Do I have Toshi? Did I ever put that in the chat? If I didn't, I'm gonna airdrop that real quick, bro. I'm gonna airdrop it real quick. I gotta go back and find it. When were we there, Toshi? It was in April. Yes, here it is. Are these the same? I think these are the same, actually. Oh my God, these are so funny. You guys are gonna love this. Toshi, I don't remember exactly how this all came to be. You'll have to tell us in the chat. We were really hammered in Bardstown after going to Willett. And, come on, airdrop. You can do this. You can do this. Oh. Got to turn on Bluetooth. Nice. Okay. All right, I'm gonna show you guys this. This needs to be a sticker on a pick. I think one of them might be the wrong file format that I need to kind of change over or something. Let's see. There we go. This is AI generated. The mouth wizard. This has to go. This has to go on a pick, right? I mean, come on, look at this. This is so good. He even has the right number of fingers and everything. I mean, this is great. Oh, Toshi, that's okay. So I was being blinded, and you kept nailing this. So he called you the mouth wizard. Well, this has to go on a bottle, right? I mean, come on. Oh, it's so good. We could. I mean, I don't think the River Roots would be the pick to do that one on. We have to have that on a bottle. I didn't want to do a bunch of tater stickers and stuff, but I think when the time is right to put a tater sticker on a bottle, then let's go for it, and that would make the time right. Okay, let's move on now to this last barrel, which is like what I'm calling the balanced barrel. The nose on this barrel is just so good. It's better than the brighter Fat Guy whiskey barrel. This reminds me of our first pick. Oh, it's so close. Oh my God. That's about as close as you can get to our first pick on the nose. I mean, it has like 15% less root beer and just a little bit more rye spice in place of it. This is such a hard. This is why this decision's hard for me. I don't know whether to go with this balanced barrel. Man, it drank so good just now. It's not as fireworks and explosive on the palate as the brighter one. I don't know what to do. This is tough. Travis, Mouth Wizard needs to go on some. Travis, bro, reread that. Mouth Wizard needs to go one somehow by that is creamy and sticky on the palate. I get the joke, but man, you got to fix that sentence. Daniel, it would have fit the Dark Arts. I don't think they do tater stickers, though. They just do like the little side banner here. Lito, to me, the funky leather one is non-negotiable out of this lineup. We have to have that. Might be maybe go with the first two if number 3 is so close to your first pick. That's the thing. It's like, do people want us to try to replicate the first pick? Would they rather have these two, which are so much more? They're so different from each other, you know, and they're different from the first pick. What do you guys think in the chat? For those of you who have tried Drums and Drams River Roots Pick 1, would you rather have something that imitates this plus the funky barrel, or would you rather have these other two that are on the opposite sides of the spectrum? Travis, it's hard using voice to text in the shower and proofreading. Luke, how would you describe the Junkies pick versus the 3 you have there? Honestly, man, I don't know. I don't really know which one they ended up picking. I think from what I remember, they were going for a little bit of a clean, like from my impression of tasting those final 2, it felt like they were going for a little bit of a cleaner profile, which is actually similar to the Fat Guy whiskey, the one that I'm talking about. I think I would probably relate it most to that whiskey, like a little brighter, sweeter, good spice, like pretty balanced overall. Whereas I'm erring more on the side of these really funky barrels, which I like, with this also brighter one. All right, so it sounds like we got to go opposite sides of the spectrum. I'll do one final taste here of this of the brighter one. Damn the palate on that. It just goes and goes. If you like a finish on a whiskey, that's the one. I'm gonna go to balanced next. I'm not gonna do funky. I'll do funky last. Honestly, on the palate, the balanced one is a little bit flat for me. And we all had that complaint about it yesterday, even though we put it in this top running. So I think it's settled. I think we go with the brighter whiskey and the darker whiskey, and we don't go for the balanced one. I think you guys are right. And what's funny is, which means we're not replicating or attempting to replicate pick one, and I like that. What's funny is that Ryan kind of agreed with, like, we were talking over text earlier from River Roots, Ryan, and he was saying, like, you got to pick the funky one over the balanced one. And that's what we've come down to now. So I think we all win. And these are great. So I still have to get approval. I got to ask Ryan Alves that this is okay that we pick 2 barrels. And for me, I would rather drop them all at the same time. That's a lot of bottles to sell, but I think so many people are going to be interested and also are going to want to buy both at once. You know, I think we go that way. Best representation of what the recipe can offer. Greg, that's a great question. That's probably the one that we're going to leave behind. That's what's tough. Because it has a little bit of, like, if I had to distill down, all of the profiles of the 12 whiskeys, it ends up on this really balanced barrel. But it doesn't have any one part of it that stands out. Where these other two have aspects to them that are, like, singular, you know? Noah, does the Funky Barrel have similar tasting notes to Calumet? For me, that had so much leather. I don't think so. Like, Calumet 16 to me had that weird bubblegum note to it. I know these have, like, medicinal cherry and stuff. It's in a totally different way. Experientially, like, you could try to draw a comparison here. But in theory, there's similarities, but in practice, if you actually drink them, they're just completely different animals. Yeah. You can do voice to text in the shower, and I've been fighting through water on my screen for years. What's up, Jeffrey Wack? All right, fat and funky it is. There we go. So I'm going to pour these back because I got to save these samples. I have to use them to do tasting notes. And whoever goes to River Roots and picks barrel 155, to me, this would be the next barrel to pick, in my opinion. Like, of the lot that we took and that the junkies took, that barrel 155 is probably next in line, in my opinion. Well, I'm glad that's settled. And so that means that we are most likely going to be doing a beam pick of this 78.5% corn mash bill. And I'll probably do that on, like, a special live stream here on YouTube. And go through those 8 barrel samples. Maybe I can do it with Ryan from River Roots, or, you know, figure out what way we go about doing that. I'd like to include more people if possible. The junkies picked a rye. They picked one of these ryes. The River Roots guys ended up not having any more of the 36% rye MGP bourbon. So, because of that, the junkies went with this stuff. All right, so let me quickly remind everybody what's going on here with tonight's giveaway. I have a lot of super chats to catch up to in the Venmo and PayPal, I see. So let's talk about it, and we'll get into tasting some of those whiskeys right now, as well as some serious bangers. We've got Evan Williams 23 still coming up. Let me grab my 2019. So we'll just get this on the table. Thanks to Jeb for sending this 2024. And, of course, this Michter's Toasted Rye we have to review. But before we do that, I do want to taste through a couple of Middle West Spirits products. This is going to be really relevant for people in Ohio who may have had the opportunity to get this bottle yesterday. My sister and my dad stood in line for me, thankfully. And no, they only got one bottle. They were very, very nice. They did not grab a backup. If they did, it would be in the giveaway, but they only grabbed one and they saved some for the other guys in line because it was so limited. So good on them. This is Middle West's first ever 8-year bourbon, and this came out of a 30-gallon barrel. So that is some serious, serious age for one of their products in a smaller format barrel. And they're the only distillery, in my opinion, that truly knows how to handle those smaller formats, and I say that ad nauseum. I'm going to taste that quickly, and then we're going to move on to this, which is in tonight's giveaway. Unreleased. This comes out June 7th. We're giving away a bottle of this Drums and Drams pick. You can see the side label here. This is the wheat whiskey that we picked on March 30th. And this is a ridiculous whiskey. I'm just going to tell you right now, you can see the color. Craziness. 6.5-year wheat whiskey. And it doesn't taste like your wheat bread, toasted wheat bread and peanut butter. It's not like that. It's not even close to that. And it doesn't taste crafty either. So it's a very unique product, and that's the reason we picked it. Oh shit, no scrolling banner. Damn it. I knew I was forgetting something. For a bottle of... For an unreleased... Let's go with that. Unreleased bottle of... Drums and Drams. Middle West Spirits, 130 proof. Wheat whiskey. Wow, please autocorrect. Help me out. Picked by Drums and Drams. Save. There we go. Gosh. And there's going to be samples and stuff too. Let me fix it. Or a bottle of Raconteur Rye. That's the longest banner ever. Sorry about that, but there you go. So we're giving away a bottle of this wheat whiskey pick, and you'll be the first one besides me right now to have a bottle of this pick. And then I'm going to give away what I think is an unbelievably cool rye. It's only 7 years old MGP, but the care that went into this from Rare Bird 101, dealing with the Mizunara cask, the toasted stuff, and the traditional rye that they blended together, I think this stuff is phenomenal. So I've got one on the table here. I already tasted this on a live stream. I can taste it again tonight if anybody wants, but this is going to go in the giveaway as well. Pink Dan, if you're talking about the Middle West bottles, these are going to be $85 through shared pour. Greg, who is local guy, says, sipping a Middle West Spirits cast strength wheated bourbon, which is what we're about to taste, guys, this 8-year, not our pick, their crazy-ass 8-year. I wish more people could experience the cast strength stuff. It's some of the most slept-on whiskey, in my opinion, that's out there. Everybody I've sent samples to of the cast strength bourbon and pumpernickel rye, they all freak out about it. What's up, Devin? Thank you for the super chat, man. No one's wanting to win the giveaway tonight. Where's all the super chats? Make sure to hit that like button as well. Thank you, Devin. I got you in, man, for 2. Let me go back and make sure I didn't miss any super chats, at least here in the live chat. Please, guys, if I didn't call you out, you should call me out and let me know. The only one I had was from Keith T at the very beginning. Yeah, I think that's it. Now, I do have some Venmos that I'll get to. Greg, how to pour the Raconteur Rye as well, too. I'm super impressed. It's a weird profile. Those Mizunara, what Mizunara adds to a whiskey, that creaminess that sits on the top, it's almost like a little bit of a butter pecan, butter cream. I think David Jennings calls it, like he called it maybe a strawberry frosting note. There's just something that Mizunara adds that no other oak does, and it doesn't get heavy. It actually makes the whiskey feel lighter and creamier, which is crazy. Greg Miller, $10 super chat. Thank you, man. There we go. I got you in for 2. All right, so let's get into this Middle West 8-year bourbon. I can't even believe it. I've heard from them for years that they had some old barrels sitting back, that they were just like, they're letting them age. They're seeing what those small barrels do at higher ages. And when I heard they were finally putting this out, the day that we were going to be out of town at River Roots, I was so pissed off. And I paid my sister $50 to stand in line. I was like, please stand in line. Luke, it's some sort of frosting. It's like buttercream frosting is the best way I can describe that top note. That's already a note that some MGP has. This is in a much different way. It's in a much more substantial, broad on the palate kind of way. Ben with a $20 super chat. Thank you, Ben. Got you in there for 4, man. Appreciate that. So let's check this out now. Real quick, this 8-year Michelob Reserve is what it's called. This is 4-grain wheated bourbon from Middle West. 132.9 proof. Dark as night. Great color to this. Here we go. Wow. I got to figure out what kind of spices I'm getting on the nose right now. If this is like paprika, cumin. I know that sounds weird for a whiskey. It's very chili pepper, paprika, cumin. It's got some savoriness to it. But there's no funk from the small barrel on the nose. It's not rubbery. It's not crafty and farmy. It's all super, super intense dry, dark fruits. Cinnamon spice, of course, like the darkest cinnamon you can imagine. Oh my God. This is serious stuff. It's very serious. It's like it's got stag notes to it. That's most of their cast strength bourbons that get picked. People always say, "Oh, it's a stag killer, it's an EH killer." This is no different. Good God, Jeb, glad to see you aren't still sitting at River Roots picking barrels. I was there earlier today. No, I was just in the parking lot. Not picking any more barrels. Thanks, Jeb. I got you, bro. Joe, as expected, the Slippin' Jimmy 2 and Raconteur Rye I bought from Bourbon Outfitters being shipped in an Amish buggy to a Chinese container ship in Los Angeles, then back to the U.S. and then to Indiana. I know some people do have some interesting carrier things that happen from Bourbon Outfitter. Like, I think Jeb had the same thing, right, down in Texas. Devin, wheat whiskey comparison. The best, you know what? I think I still have a sample from Dan of the Dry Fly. I think it's back here. That's going to be a great comparison, Devin. I think to memory, Dry Fly is the closest. And I love the Dry Fly shit is awesome. Brett, what's up, dude? Thank you for the super chat. Hey, I filmed that video of Helldiver and Peregrine. Turned out like shit, and I was going to post it today, but I couldn't even watch it. It was so bad. I was getting like pissed off in the car listening to it on my drive home. Like, I'm not posting this video. It was just making me so angry. The Dry Fly here is... I don't remember the age on this. Dan would have to chime in. I think it's like 8 or 9 or something like that. I wrote Dry Fly. I relabeled it, but I didn't write the age. So yeah, Brett, I'm going to reshoot that video, man. Spoiler alert, I think Helldiver is way better than Peregrine. So that's all I'll say on here. Kyle, is that similar to the one you picked with Drew P? So the bourbon that I'm tasting now, this is what we picked back then. And it probably would have been 5 years old back then, 5 or 6 maybe. The barrel we picked, which tasted like, in my opinion, like a better Stag Junior. In a lot of ways. Not quite as sweet, but dry flies 8 years, 143. So it's going to have a little age and proof advantage. All right, let's get this Middle West on the palate. Oh my God. A little bit of rubber actually on this. That's the one thing. The one giveaway on the palate for this, that it's in a smaller barrel for 8 freaking years, would be that it does have a tinge of rubberiness. It's not enough to turn me off. And typically if that happens on a Middle West product, it's infrequent. And typically by the second sip, I acclimate to that note and it kind of goes away. Similar to the Detling stuff, actually. When I tasted this last week, it's the least craft tasting craft whiskey. You know what I mean? That still has those notes, but just not overbearing. But by the second sip, you get used to it, and then the whiskey just tastes like chocolate and espresso, which is awesome. So, Prozac, are you on the Jim Beam 7 hype train too? When I tried it, I thought it was fine. I think because I compared it to the last one, that maybe that was my problem. Maybe I just need to taste it in isolation and see if it blows me away for the price point. Excuse me. This Middle West, oh my God. The cinnamon and dark cherry notes and stag-like fruits. It actually drinks way under 133 proof. All right, so there's only like 50 bottles of this stuff. So who am I talking to right now? A few people in Ohio that stood in line. But I'm sure they will have probably a few more of these sometime down the road. I would imagine they have some more of these barrels probably sitting, behind the scenes. So I'm going to leave that out. What is this? I should know what that is. That's a rye. Who knows? Okay. Wow. Oh my God, wow. So now what I'm tasting is what's in the giveaway tonight. This is the Drums and Drams wheat whiskey. It's actually, get this, the mash bill is 95.5 wheat barley. 0 corn, 95% wheat, 5% malted barley. And to me, when I hear that mash bill and I think, gross, that is not going to taste good. And if you think that too, I would not blame you. On paper, it's a very, very weird mash bill. Randy Livingston, cheers, Cam. Let me get you, Randy, here. Randy Livingston in for 3. Okay, cheers, Cam. Enjoying some Chattanooga Founders 10th anniversary. I haven't had any of the Founder stuff. And Randy, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like did the price drop on that recently? Because when it first came out a few years ago, I thought that it was like a $100 bottle. And I checked their website the other day because I saw an ad for the Founders, and it was like $69.99. I thought that was cheaper than what it used to be, but maybe I just had it kind of skewed in my head from last time. Maybe I was wrong. Chris K got you in for 4, man. Thank you for the super chat, and good luck in the giveaway. Look, Wayne Arnold, only a mouth wizard could pick a super dark wheated. Hang on. I gotta get this off the screen. There we go. Yes. Leo, I'll get to try the Middle West tomorrow. A buddy got one. Nice, man. Jeb, just poured a sample you sent of the Drew P pick. Yeah, that Drew P pick is ridiculous. I still have 2 sealed bottles in my basement. Prozac, sorry to ask again, but what notes are you tasting when you say something tastes like craft whiskey? Usually it's a soil note. It's legitimately like being in a barn with animals. It's the note you get. It's like the wet earth, the hay, a little bit of the manure type note. A lot of craft whiskey has those kind of notes that can come sometimes from being run through a pot still, like pot distillation. It can also come from smaller format barrels, often when they don't manage the toast and char levels of those barrels properly, and you have too much heat, whatever the case may be, to cause the extraction to happen too rapidly. You can get some of those notes. So it can come from a variety of places, also like heirloom grains, sometimes like Bloody Butcher corn. There are so many causes, but a lot of craft distilleries do all of those things. Pot distillation, heirloom grains, small barrels, and they try to crank whiskey out fast, so they think about small barrels, high heat, 2 years old, and they just age the shit out of them as fast as they can, and then at that point, you just bake in too much too fast, and the distillate either can't stand up to all of that, and it just becomes this over-oaked, crafty mess, or any combination of those things at play. So it's been consistent around 60. Wow, Randy, so I'm totally off on that. Hayloft Earthen says Mojo. What's up, dude? The Drew P pick was back in 2021. Drew P Whiskey, he had a channel on here. He still does, but he's only active every couple months. He posts something. Drew actually had me along to do a pick with those guys at Middle West, and they picked one of these bourbons, and that pick for me still goes down as one of the best I've ever had. Amy, I think just life took over for Drew. I think business and life, and he's in the coffee industry and family. I think he just kind of bowed out, and he pops up every once in a while, But we had a great time at that pick. It was so fun. It was my first barrel pick too, so I'm a little biased. Okay, here we go. On to this wheat whiskey. By the way, look at the color on this wheat whiskey pick that we did. And we didn't realize that this was the color at the distillery because our pours were so small that I don't think anyone paid attention, but it was like twice as dark as the other 2 barrels that we sampled from. What's up, Jesse? Jesse was on the pick with us yesterday at River Roots. So our wheat whiskey smells like... I don't want you to think I'm saying too much about like a yeastiness or anything like that, which wouldn't really make sense anyways. But let's say this. Cake batter. There's like a little bit of a cake batter, vanilla, like really sweet note to this wheat whiskey. Yeah. Oh my God. And then what I like to call flaming cherries, which is a lot of cinnamon cherry notes that kind of combine all together. It's on the darker side of things, like the darker, more like a Luxardo cinnamon flaming cherry notes. Like that's the best way I can put it. But this sweet cake batter thing, and it doesn't really smell like wheat bread, which when I think of wheat whiskeys and I go to like Bernheim in particular, which I think is a benchmark for a lot of people, given that it's from Heaven Hill, it's a legacy product. This has zero relationship whatsoever to Bernheim. You know what? Let's just do it. Let's just do the damn comparison to Dry Fly and to Bernheim barrel proof. Yes. We may as well just test this thing, This is a clean glass. I'll take it. All right, now we're getting in the weeds. It's as if we didn't do a barrel pick yesterday. But my body is telling me that we did. Sweet baby Jesus. Tomorrow is a dry day for me. Just telling you now. All right. So, I have the glasses now in front of their respective bottles. So, here we go. This is the Bernheim. And the Bernheim barrel proof, what is the age on this? I mean, this has significantly more corn in the mash, so keep that in mind. This is 51 wheat, so barely legal wheat whiskey, 37 corn, and then 12 malted barley, you know, which is that magic number that you don't have to add enzymes to that, to the whole process there. Compared to the 95.5 of the Middle West. And right away on the nose of the Bernheim, it's just way different, you know? The Bernheim smells like nuttiness. It smells like peanut butter on wheat bread, which is what I talked about earlier. Peanut butter on wheat bread, a little brighter cinnamon, and that's about it. It drinks very balanced for a wheat whiskey because there's so much corn in there that I think adds presence to the whiskey. 125 proof. Solid. Corn adds length to the palate. Let's get... Okay, there we go. And then on to the Middle West. I'm telling you, this cake batter note, I didn't pick this up when we did the barrel pick. It's the first time I've gotten it. So sweet. It's like sugar cookies in a good way because there's enough of a dark supporting cast of notes that it doesn't just feel like this weird top note wheat whiskey with no body to it. Oh my God. It's so intense. 130.58. Wow. If you guys like proof, you wouldn't expect a wheat whiskey to bring it. Oh my God, that brings it. Whew. That is intense whiskey. You could put some water in that and you're not going to be sad about it. So let's add the dry fly to the mix now. One last one. Oh, what's up, Greg McDonald? Yeah, we're going to get to the, this is a 2019 Evan Williams. We're going to get to a 2024 here in a second. We're just going through this unreleased Middle West barrel pick first that we're doing in the giveaway. Greg, dude, you're gonna love this barrel. You're gonna love this barrel. I'm telling you. All right, so here we go. Dry fly, 8 years old, 143 proof. It has the advantage in every way. Let's see if it stands up to this pick. I've not done this comparison before. All right. The dry fly shockingly has a little bit of an acetone note, like lemon. Lemon, acetone. It actually has a citrus thing, is what I'm trying to say. For a wheat whiskey, that's a little unusual. Oh, the palate's great. God, that dry fly's good. It's a little sharper. More peppery, white peppery and sharper. And you can expect that. It's got 13 more proof points on it. So that makes sense in the delivery. But there are many fewer. I don't know why I'm saying it that way. There are less dark notes on the dry fly that add that support to the whiskey. And the Middle West has a lot more body. I think that's because the Middle West is aged in smaller barrels. And the distillate can handle it, and the barrels they're custom-made barrels for Middle West, so they don't over-oak the whiskey. It's like the perfect maturation for that stuff. Damn. I mean, I think I like the Middle West better. But the dry fly, because it's more intense, if you're just going off experience and like punch you in the mouth, the dry fly wins easily. Man. But both of them, I cannot believe, are wheat whiskeys. I cannot believe you can put out this quality of wheat whiskey two vastly different profiles, vastly different climates, distilleries, and you get these two products. Dry fly to me is so slept on, and Middle West even more so, I think, for these wheat whiskeys. Nobody picks these barrels. They were telling us that, like, this is a very uncommon barrel pick. Everybody wants the rye, everybody wants the bourbon. It's good. I'm not just hyping this because it's our pick. There's no need. There's only 80 bottles of this to go around in the Patreon. It's going to sell out very fast. There's no need to hype it. I'm just giving you my honest assessment here. In terms of balance, Bernheim is the best because it has the corn and the mash bill that rounds everything out and adds length to the palate. Impudent Rock, you need that Z-Biotics. Yeah, I've had Z-Biotics. I don't know if that agrees with me or not. Which Bernheim batch? I think this is the most recent. A224. So I think that is the most recent. Devin, do you still have the old whip pick as well? I do have that. Yeah, it's on a shelf back here behind me. I'm not going to throw that in. This is a lot of high-proof stuff. I think I've gotten out of this what I need to. That is a barrel, particularly, that nobody in the chat would have any relationship to. They're not going to... Like, a lot of people have tried the Dry Fly or the Bernheim to understand a comparative assessment between them, but I think that is such a standalone barrel from New Holland that it's not going to mean much to anybody but you and me, you know? Jeb, I find adding a little water to wheat whiskey softens it, makes it sweeter. I agree. And I have played with this one with water. The two barrels that we were between at Middle West for this, to me, this was one of the easier decisions on a pick. We've had so far two picks that were very challenging and two picks that were like, I feel like in 5 minutes I knew what was what. Middle West was easy, and the first River Roots was easy. Dark Arts was hard as shit because we tasted like 20 things. And second River Roots pick was also hard as shit because we tasted 12 barrels. And we started with 3 core range products. So we did 15 in a row at River Roots before we even started narrowing things down. And that's, you know, it's a lot of stuff. But when we were at Middle West, the second place barrel was opposite profile of this. It was soft and sweet, and what people would probably typically associate with a wheat whiskey. And now at this point, I wish we would have picked it, because I think we have the ability now, if we picked 280 bottle barrels, I think we could sell through the 160, even though it's a wheat whiskey. People would want to have that comparison and buy both at once. All right, I got to grab a few of these super chats, guys, in the live chat while that water settles in. I already snagged Chris K and Randy Livingston, so let me grab Teresita Salva. There we go. Thank you for the super chat. In for one. Appreciate your support. Mike K, let's go. Great stream. Thank you. Thanks, Mike. I got you for 2. And I think was that it? I think that was it. Randy, have you tried anything from Jeff the Creed? I picked up a store pick recently with the 70% Bloody Butcher, 15 malted rye. Ooh, I've not tried any of it. I've heard mixed reviews skewing more towards the negative side of things. And just looking on paper right now, it doesn't sound like something I'm going to be into. Even just malted rye, 99% of the time I hate malted rye anything. Except for New Riff. New Riff's malted rye is amazing. Every other malted rye I have tastes like soap. Something about that process with rye makes it soapy to me. Bloody Butcher corn, I've not had great experiences with. Excuse me, malted wheat, though, that's the one I don't know that I have any familiarity with. Yeah, so I don't know. It's not one that I'm going to pick up in a store, but I would be curious. Greg McDonald, this year's 2024 Evan Williams 150th edition Derby Festival bottle is fantastic. Very lucky to find one. Greg, if you don't mind me asking, you don't have to answer. I'm curious what you paid for that. And what the age statement is as well. Greg, I agree, man. Wheat whiskey, very below radar style. I'm sure it's hard to do right but when it is done right, watch out. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Luke, that's what I'm talking about. The old whip pick. Yeah. That wheat whiskey's crazy. It's like 143 proof or something. Wayne Arnold, I so look forward to a side-by-side of the now 3 River Roots barrels as long as I get approval from Bourbon Outfitter. I think we will. So as long as we got to sell this Dark Arts pick. That's my 170 bottles is a lot of bottles at 150 per. I did not expect that many bottles. So if you guys have friends that want them and it goes public, share it with your friends, you know? So glad you chose the 2 barrels that are different from the first pick. I think you're right. That's the right move. Bring on the beam barrel. The beam we tasted there was fucking good. Very, very good. The only issue with we only tried 1 barrel. It just had a grassy finish and that killed me. But if we get 8 options, I think we're going to find a beam barrel in there that's really, really good. The problem, it's 9-year beam. I don't know if it's turning 10 anytime soon. The price is around $100, I think. So it is around that $10 per year thing. Yeah, I think it's an okay price. As long as we get a great barrel, I'll feel better about it. Oh, Casket Salesman. And you just jumped into the Patreon, I believe. I think I saw your name jump into the Discord. So if that is the case, if I'm remembering correctly, thank you so much. Someone get this man some Frey Ranch Quad Malt. That sounds really wild. That sounds really wild. Okay. What are we doing? Water in the Middle West. It does soften it up, Jeb, like you were saying. It sweetens everything up a little bit. The intensity, the brash intensity is lessened. Wow, actually, it's kind of better with water. I think I like that better with a little water. So there you go, guys. More bang for your buck. Jonathan says, sounds like a single barrel Booker's at about $100. Not a bad value. So there are rumored... Yeah, like, there are rumored... Try to say that word. It's like rural. Rumored rural. I can't say those words. The rumors are that Booker's barrels are floating around. NBC has some of them. Other folks have done those picks. And all the stuff that has been supposedly Booker's that has been picked at like 9 years old or whatever, I have hated all of it. I think it's even more of what I don't like about Booker's, just more intense. These don't taste like Booker's. What's interesting about the barrels that we tasted at River Roots, they have some of that 5 to 6 year Barton, the 21% rye mash that the junkies have as well. And then they have that 78.5% corn beam. The Barton was nuttier than the beam, and that did not make any sense to me. But I like that because I would rather have a beam that's less nutty and more of a full, like rich, filled out profile. And so if we get one of those, a high quality barrel, around $100, I'm down. Nate, do you plan on trying the Redbreast Missouri Oak? I actually just saw a picture of that today. It was the first time I had heard of that being released. I did not like the Kentucky Oak. I thought it was just essentially taking Redbreast, blowing it out of the water with another cask, and being like, here you go, special release. But I think the Missouri Oak, if they dial that influence of the oak back, I think it could be very good. I'm not going to buy one, but I would certainly, I'd pay for a sample, pay for a pour at a bar to give it a try. Guy, how do those 9-year beam barrels compare to Knob Creek picks? That's my only question, Guy, is I don't have a frame of reference for that. And when we do that pick, and I'll talk to Ryan, and he knows. Like, if we don't find a barrel that we're really excited about, we won't pick it. He would totally understand. Part of the process for me is going to be to take one of Matt Porter's picks that I have. There was one that I liked more than the other of his knob picks, and use that as a benchmark. Once we get to the end and we dial it down to like 2 or 3 beam barrels, then throw that in the mix and see how it compares. And if we're in the same territory, but hopefully a little better given the price point, then I would feel good about picking it. But I don't want to pick something that just tastes like a Knob Creek pick. You're right, because they are cheaper. I will say I was more excited with 0 frame of reference at River Roots. When I tasted their beam, it makes me much more excited than when I've ever tasted a 9-year Knob Creek pick. But it's hard to say that if I don't have them side by side. Amy, I'm sure we could get a New Riff pick. I don't know anybody at New Riff, but it seems like of all the distilleries, that's probably one that you could get a pick from fairly easily, because I think they do a lot of them. I would love to do a New Riff pick. I've just never been blown away by any of their barrels. I've been like, yeah, that's good, but I've never had one that makes me go, wow. All the wow stuff from New Riff seems to be their own distillery releases. Oh, I'm called out. Joe is calling me out. Are you getting the Weller Millennium, or are you getting one and a backup? 0. At $7,500 SRP, the answer is -1. I'm getting -1 Weller Millennium. And I guess if you're getting 2, you're getting Weller Millennia. So, Amy, you've got a great pick then. I have one pick in my basement, actually. I moved it down there. It's the only New Riff that I've tasted. I'm like, hell yeah, that is great. So I think they exist, but they are fewer and further between than other distilleries, maybe. Greg, all you need to do for New Riff is just contact them. You can even only do a quarter barrel. Oh, wow. So maybe like a half barrel pick from New Riff just to kind of get my feet wet there. That would actually be... That doesn't sound like the worst thing in the world. Damn, Chris Bruce, my R Bourbon New Riff pick is killer. Well, then maybe we got to do a New Riff pick then. We'll see. We'll see. There are a few other picks I want to try to line up if we can as well. All right, I do need to get to these super chats here sooner than later. I'm going to shoot to do this giveaway. When? We got to go to Evan Williams and Michter's. I want to do this giveaway at 11 p.m. So in about 5 minutes, I'll get to the Venmo super chats. I'm sorry, guys, I've taken so long on that. But it ends up being a very long process to kind of go through that. I'm going to pour the dry fly back. Nicholas says the SLB New Riff pick is pretty interesting. I've not had any SLB picks. Maybe I should subscribe to their Patreon. Those are 2 guys that I actually would like to get in contact with because they just seem like good people. Ding dong. I need to make a little room on this table. I feel like I'm hearing things. I heard that earlier. Something from in there. I hope it's not my cat like getting sick or something. Let's change the music here. Thank you to the 133 of you that are still hanging out. I really appreciate you guys being here on one of these Thursday night live streams. I know it's not particularly early at this point, but 9 p.m. start time does feel like it is the correct start time from this point forward for the channel. And thank you for being here. You know, if you are just jumping in, watching the replay, whatever, do hit that like button if you don't mind. Amy, give me a sec. I'll get you caught up on YouTube. Am I not caught up on YouTube Super Chats? Amy, I'm not doing great then, huh? The vent... Travis, do I smell a Drums and Drams Dickel pick on the way? You got to really be careful the way you say that. That's a... you got to be careful. You absolutely do not... You absolutely do not smell that. You could probably smell that from a mile away. And you can take that however you would like. What are your thoughts on Wilderness Trail? That is one distillery I've not heard. I don't have a lot of experience with them, but the rye that I tasted, I think it was just a bottled and bond rye. In the rye flight I did live 2 months ago or something like that, 3 months ago with the E.H. Taylor rye. I had a lot of stuff in that flight. The New Riff Malted 6-year. The Wilderness Trail won pretty handily in that flight. So I think it's great. I think it's really good stuff. Sladvan, I joined the Patreon to help out with the Dark Arts problem, TM. It's not a problem, but, you know, I was expecting the yield to be like 130, 140, and Macaulay's like, it's 170. I'm like, oh, shit. We got to do that. We got to get through that. That's funny. Devin, damn it, Cam, this Hard Truth Sweet Mash Rye has been sitting on my shelf for 2 years untouched. And since we last talked about it, I've poured it 3 times, and it's growing on me. I'm telling you, man, that's good, but the bourbon is very, very cool. Oh, Dan says, my poker buddies and I did 2 New Riff picks. They're very accommodating. Okay. But you got that poker money. Randy, you absolutely must try the Wilderness Trail Wheat Science pick that It's Bourbon Night did. When did they do that pick? I would love to. Is Port Charlotte worth $180? Yes. Twice. Twice over, yes. Buy 2. It's very good. Joe, you ever try that weird New Riff pick I gave you? It's so charred. I think it's right in front of my face. Let me just take a nip off the top. Is this Cherry Smoke Bomb, Joe? Because that's what I got right here. Cherry Smoke Bomb. 4 years, 110.3 proof. Oh, thanks, Amy. I did good. Let's go. Let's throw this in a Glen. Yeah, a little more. Okay. What the hell? What the hell's going on with this New Riff pick? It smells peated. It literally, I wonder if, does New Riff produce peated product? I'm looking at some of the other samples. This to me feels like they ran this on the same still. Like there's some overlap with peat on this one. Oh my God, it's very interesting. I'll tell you that, Joe. You're right, man. Ooh, it smells like barbecue sauce and cherries. Ooh. No. Actually, it's not bad. Like to call this a single barrel bourbon with no hint towards the fact that it essentially tastes peated, then I don't like it. But if you tell me that I'm drinking a peated bourbon and that's my expectation, I'd say, okay, that's fine. The only time I would want to drink this is probably if I'm at a campfire and I already have so much smoke, like that smell in my nose, that it would lessen the impact of this and make it kind of blend in. What's up, David? Rarebird 101 in the house. We're giving away a bottle of the Rack and Tour Rye. This is one of those things that, like, I think it did sell out the day that it was released, if not the next day. But as this was going, I kept checking how many bottles were in the inventory, and it was like kind of slowly decline. Like there were moments where it dropped big, and then it would slowly decline. And I'm like, people don't know what they're missing out on with this. So I snagged one. I wanted to give it away on the channel, especially hoping that somebody that gets this, whoever wins it, is one that did not order it from the website, and they get the chance to taste it. You know, a new face to taste that one. Joe says the tasting note was smoky and barbecue. Dude, I mean, there has to be cross-contamination with this bourbon with whatever peated product they put out. There's no other way that you get this profile. This is peat. Cheech says, I need that bottle. It's a damn good bottle, bro. Someone in the Discord earlier was talking about, I think it was Sip and Slice, Nick, was talking about it and saying he loved it. He also had the newest Old Stubborn. He also said that was very good. Jeb, how am I going to drink? Dude, it's going to be like dessert. Evan Williams 23 after all this craziness. It's going to be great. I think this is the Michter's 2023. Yeah. All right. So we're on to Michter's Toasted Rye 2023. 109.6 proof. Interestingly enough, the 2023 version of Michter's Toasted Rye, secondary values continued to fall for a long time. They've kind of evened out now, I think around maybe $2.50 a bottle. The older 2017s that Amy got me hooked on, those are still very highly priced. Like, I think I paid $4.50 maybe for mine or something. It's up there. But I keep hearing that this 2023 is good. I hated my 2021. I thought it was very rubbery and overcooked. So let's check out this 23 at about 110 proof. Joe, I've actually never had Campfire, believe it or not. So I don't know. Excuse me. Oh, yeah. Amy, well, yeah, I guess, let's be very clear. Michter's 2023, not some mythical Michter's 23 that probably exists somewhere behind the scenes. Dan H., thank you for the super chat. Cheers, working on the first pour of, God bless America, I meant to taste that tonight. We might not get to the Kelvin 6. We legitimately might not get to the Kelvin 6. It wasn't in the thumbnail. That'll be my excuse. I don't think I have the liver capacity for that tonight. Thank you, Dan. Michter's 2023 Toasted Rye smells freaking good. Wow. Amy, let me ask you this. Have you tried the Michter's 2023 Toasted Rye? It's the closest I've smelled to this 2017. My 2021 was terrible. This smells very, very good. Wow. Shit. It doesn't have that like Armagnac super marshmallow sweetness to it. I'll just take this off the top. Just a little, yeah, like that super marshmallow, almost slightly dusty thing that the 2017s have. The 23 doesn't have that, but it's a really good toasted rye. It reminds me of still what is a top 3 or 5 toasted product I've ever had is a double oaked, or I guess I should say double oaked product. The Starlight Double Oaked Rye that Drew P. Whiskey picked is still top 5 or top 3 products that have spent time in a second barrel, a second American oak barrel. And the Michter's 2023 is very similar to that profile. It's minty. It's more of like a spearmint mintiness, and the extra oak is adding actually like vanilla sweetness to it, as opposed to adding young, sharp, like Menards, Home Depot lumber section wood. This is very good. You can smell the corn grain as well in the Michter's 2023 rye. And that's kind of different for a rye. Like there's a cornbread note. It's like toothpaste and cornbread. That doesn't sound great, but that's a good whiskey. Shit. So for me, the hype is warranted, even with the weirdly low secondary price, considering That the Michter's Toasted 2023. That's a winner for me. Total winner. And I don't know that I don't have exactly like the batch on here or anything. I don't know if Jesse's still hanging out, but Jesse might. If you are and you happen to know that, throw that in the chat. I'm curious. Man, this is good. The other one I had just tasted like rubber, and just was not into that. I'm going to pour this back. Save it for another day. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I am going to taste... The last pour of the night is going to be this Evan Williams 2024 23-year product. And I'll compare it probably in a different glass, maybe. Let's see. I only have one clean glass, and then this one, I'll clear it. Yeah, Devin, no, it is definitely my last pour. It's last two pours, last comparison. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the giveaway first. And if you want to bounce after the giveaway, totally understand. No worries. For anybody interested in the Evan Williams 23 review, we'll do that. We'll do about, 7 to 10 minutes on this. Maybe. And then we're going to call it a night. And we'll give this a little opportunity to kind of open up in the glass. Interesting. Nate Trout, what kind of glassware do you use? Give me 1 second. Okay. It should be in the description of this video. There's like a little section that says glasses I use. It's the very first one. That's what all of these are. And there's nothing else on the table. So that I think you're probably talking about these glasses. So it should be the very first one in the description of the video. Joe, definitely my last pour equals, who wants to see me compare King of Kentucky and Batch 11 ECBP? What's up, Clay? Hey, am I late? No, you're just in time, man. Oh, man. So it is time now to tally up a lot of super chats. If I lose a percentage of you guys hanging out, I apologize. I'm going to go through this as quickly as I can, but I also want to give adequate recognition to all these people who have sent in super chats via Venmo, and I usually never wait till the end of the stream like this. So I'm sorry about that. It just kind of ended up that way this evening. So we got a couple to go through, guys. Bear with me. Bear with me. We got Toshi, Mr. Toshi Bake, in for 10 entries. Toshi says, and this was before the stream even started, like an hour early. Oh, sorry, 10 minutes. That's a big exaggeration. 10 minutes early. Says, watching the Mike Tyson Jake Paul press conference before you're live. Who do you got for that fight? I hope Mike Tyson beats his brakes off, But we'll see. Mike is like 60 years old. Travis R. in for 2 entries, $10 super chat. This is a bribe to try what's coming tomorrow from Matt Madness Prep. Pay attention to the papers attached when you open. So we'll see, man. Cheech. The Raconteur Rye sounds like something I need. Thank you, Amy, for grabbing that. Yes, Cheech. It's very good. All right, we're going to move on here. Marshall, Mr. Marshall C. in for 8 entries, $40 super chat. Says, cheers, Cam. Looking forward to that Four Roses 60 sample epic taste off one day. Guys, we were talking in Discord about doing a tasting of all Four Roses recipes and tiers. So that's 60 samples. And I was like, actually, I don't know if we're joking anymore, but I can't hang with that. I would do it. we would have to figure out the logistics of that. Joe W, I got you in, says cheers, $20 super chat. Got you for 4. Avery Piper, get you in here for 1. Thank you, Avery. Says, thanks, Cam, for doing this stream. Great bottle picture coming out. Excited to get my hands on the first Middle West Spirits. Hope they're great. It's going to be good, I think. All right, Bobby Holton. I got you in for 3, man. Breaking in the new aged in ore glass. Bobby Holton is the only one, besides Branford Marsalis, who has a Drums and Drams aged in ore glass. So thank you, Bobby. That's awesome that you're breaking that in. Joe says, I don't think tiers make any difference. They aren't that tall. They definitely, for me on profile, make a difference, but sometimes it's overblown because you can find a tier 2 or 3 that is just lights out over a tier 6. Toshi, fuck yeah. I hope Tyson knocks Jake Paul. Tyson's 58, but he still got power and looks... I mean, dude, the sparring footage, not sparring, but just the pad work footage of Mike Tyson is very frightening. All right, Mr. Phil says gas money in for 5. Thank you, man. Philip Bolyard in for 5. Will Molnar with a humongous 20 entry $100 super chat. Woke up from my old man nap and thought I missed the live. It was great to meet Will when we did this Middle West pick. Daniel P. with a $50 super chat. 10 entries. Gotcha, man. Thank you. Says, can't wait for all these picks. It's crazy. It's a weird dream come true thing for me to do all these barrel picks. Every time I get one, I feel emotional about it, you know? All right. Jerry Arnold. I've got Jerry and we have a Jerry H. So let me make sure I don't miss this and overlap. So, Jerry H, thank you for the super chat in the live chat here. $50. Holy shit. Cheers to that, man. I'll drink to it once I get to the Evan Williams. And Amy, thank you for getting that. And then we got Jerry Arnold in the Venmo. Says, searching for whiskey on the dark side. I don't know what that means. Is this the dark side? Wow, we have a lot of super chats to get to. I gotta hustle through these now. Leo for 5. $25. Give me that bottle. So, guys, I'm so sorry, but thank you, and I'm sorry, and a lot of emotions. Les B in for 4 entries, $20 super chat. I have to just smell this Evan Williams. I can't wait any longer. I got to smell the 2024. Oh my God, it smells good. It has, I haven't compared it yet. It has a little bit of that wood varnish note. And molasses. It's very, very oaky, but sweet oak. Okay. Nice. I'm excited for these Evan Williams now. Tony D says, cheers. Thank you, man. Got you in for 2. $10 super chat. Brian S., another $10 super chat from Brian here. Says, sign me up. Cheers. Thanks, bro. And Lido with a $50 super chat. 10 entries. I got you. With a little coffee emoji. I do need a little coffee right now, it feels like. Adam Hyman, who helped us out with the Dark Arts pick, got 2 entries here. Thank you, Adam. Lance Ortiz, thank you for the 132 of you bearing with me as I keep up on this. Amy, I just one of these days, I need to send you a bunch of samples and stuff for helping out with super chats. But I just, if Amy could ever, I'll just let Amy sign into my Venmo, but then she can see how irresponsibly I spend my money. I can't have that. I have to keep it private. It's like, why did you buy another Heaven Hill 17? Andrew Parrott, join the Patreon. Can't wait for the picks. Thanks again for the 4 roses. I'm glad you won that one, man. Guy, holy shit. Guy, oh my goodness, man. $120 super chat in for 24 entries. Jeez Louise. Says, cheers, man. Looking forward to all the picks. Thank you, Guy. Jeez, man. Hopefully I'll see you on Sunday for the micro batches hang. I haven't looked at who's actually available. I haven't downloaded the results of who said what on that in the Patreon. We're getting there. We're almost there. Daniel Brenley, Pink Dan in for 1. I owe you even more for making you drink Ambarana last time. Oh, you're going to be there. Awesome. Amy says Cam is smart enough not to give me access to his Venmo. No, it's only for the shame that it would incur, not for the irresponsible spending of money, because I'll tell you this, it's at 0 at all times. I don't let money sit in there. It escapes me. Terry Gibbs, put me down for 2. I got you in for 2, my man. Amy for 2 as well. Cheers, Cam and crew. Thank you, Amy. Amy, I owe you those entries for free at this point. Greg Y, also in for 2. Bruce Williams, and this is the last 3 here. We're doing it. We're doing it. Bruce Williams, Stolzle Whiskey Glass Fund. Thank you, man. James. Local James. Cheers to another great stream and more great picks. Thank you, bro. And finally, I think this is the last super chat from Jared B. And then I actually have to grab a couple PayPals. Jared says it's J Boogie. Cheers. Thank you, man. Last 2 super chats. Both are $20. Christopher Bruce. Thank you, man. And then we got Mr. Ty Leasy in for 4. Says it's Tyler here. Throw my hat in the ring for tonight's giveaway. Thank you, thank you, thank you all so much. And Casket Salesman, the last super chat, we are cut off. 126 of you. Thank you for bearing with me for that. We're cut off on super chats. We're going to run the giveaway now. Let me pull up all of the things that I need to pull up, and we can get into it. Cheech, I'd love to send you a sample of my Smoke Wagon pick. I'd love to taste it, man. What is the pick? Is it a bourbon or a rye? Yeah, Toshi. Yeah, we can't have everybody seeing that now, can we? There we go. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to do one more giveaway. We'll do another bottle of the Middle West. So thank you all for jumping in here. Top 2 winners get a bottle of the unreleased Middle West pick. Top 2. And the third place gets a bottle of Raconteur Rye. So we're doing good. Everybody is going to get samples as well of the Detling, the Dark Arts Blunt Blend, the bottle that you didn't win. You'll get samples of that. So there you go. Pretty solid. Pretty solid all the way around. So 3 winners in tonight's giveaway. I'm going to share my screen with you so we can check in. No more super chats, please. But thank you for the support. I need to share. Yep, there. And we're going to go with window. Here it is. So just a reminder. Your name is on the left next to the number of super chats, which is your dollar amount divided by 5. So Keith T with a $10 super chat, 10 divided by 5 per super chat is 2 entries. His name then populates twice over here in column F, etc., etc. Devin with 2. It's a $10 super chat with 2 entries. So check your name on the left. This only goes from Keith down to Daniel P here at the bottom, and then we will get afterwards Daniel P down to, well, let me adjust the percentage here to 140. Then we'll get Daniel P down to Casket Salesman, and we'll be good to go. So there we go. Keith down to Daniel. Check your entries, and then we'll get the second half. Just check your name next to your entries. And also, if you super chatted twice, I don't know if that happened tonight with anybody, your name will appear twice. It's per time that you super chatted. What's up, Tim Evans? Hey. Good to see you, man. Let's get on now. As you guys check this, the first half, as you check this, please, what am I saying? As you check this, I'm going to go on to Evan Williams. Here we go. Evan Williams, 23. These are 107 proofers, 23-year Heaven Hill distillate. 2024 edition from Jeb. So yes, I said kind of this wood varnish note, super sweet oak, leathery sweet oak, but emphasis on the sweet. Vanilla cream, which is that aged note that doesn't often appear. There's molasses in here. Not as heavy molasses as King of Kentucky, which is a totally different spectrum of molasses. That's much more intense. Something else I can't quite pin down in this. I think it's just some kind of like darker chocolate note as well in this Evan Williams. It smells very, very good. Like old, damn old, amazing whiskey is what it smells like. Now let's go to the 2019 edition, which I have. It's seen plenty of air. It's probably been open about a year. Let's see what this is all about. Same stats and all. Yeah, and this smells like a true Dusty. And it's not pre-fire. From what I've heard, the 23-year Evan Williams from 2019, which if you do the math back to 96, the year of distillation, I heard that these are actually not pre-fire Heaven Hill distillate like one might expect. That may or may not be true, but there is a distinctly more dusty profile on the 2019. If there are no issues, let's keep scrolling down now. Let's go from Daniel P., who checked in. So we're going to basically go Jerry H. down to Casket Salesman. And then we'll be good to run this giveaway. So check your entries, guys. Wow. The Evan Williams are both very similar, but there is more dustiness on the 19, and that's the only real difference. It's also a little bit sweeter and more obvious on the nose, whereas I feel like the 2024 is a smidge more closed off on the nose. '24 tastes good. It is more intense than I remember the 2019 being. All right, it looks like we are good on our entries. So number 1, Keith T, all the way down to number 185, Casket Salesman. We move over to random.org. The list is copied. We're going to spin this 7 times. Here we go. We pasted from Keith down to Casket Salesman. 7 times, top 2, Middle West, third place winner. No duplicate winners. Third place gets the Rack and Tour. 3, 4, 4. There we go. 5, 6, and here's number 7. That did not take. We're going to click it again. Number 7. Boom. Leo. Local Leo winning, who I just met on Saturday at an event. Leo winning the Middle West. Greg Y winning the Middle West. And Randy Livingston winning the Rack and Tour Rye. So good, great job, everybody. Thank you for doing this. Thanks for your support. Congrats. If I don't have your info, if we've never emailed, actually, you know what? Even if we have emailed, just shoot me an email, drumsanddrams@gmail.com. Just to be sure. Congrats, guys. And I'll make sure you send me your name and your address and what you won. And I'll get this stuff sent out to you. Probably, I would say, probably going to be like Monday before I can get all this done. Maybe even Tuesday. I hate to say it, but it could be Tuesday. So there you go. I'm going to stop sharing this screen. Congrats, guys. I'm going to take a picture, actually, very quickly. All right. There we go. Good stuff. Good stuff. Just 1 second. Okay, let's see. Hey, Greg Miller, are you G Miller 598 on Discord, by the way? Sceptical says, I won the toasted Michters. Please send over. No, it is good, though, isn't it? That 2023 is very good. Joe says, I'm especially proud I was able to avoid being one or two places outside of getting a sample tonight. That's my normal. All right. So, final thoughts here on this Evan Williams 23 comparison. You know what the 2019 really reminds me of on the nose is the Old Fitz 13 back here. That is the newest VVS edition, distillery only. That dustiness on that whiskey is also present on the 2019 Evan Williams. And the 2024 Evan Williams, only 5 years later, also has 60% of the dustiness of this. So it's not all modern whiskey notes, but it's not quite as dusty. And it feels just a smidge tighter. It's still damn good whiskey. I think I would still probably pay SRP for this bottle. But hunting 2024 on secondary, I don't know. It just really depends on what the upcharge would be for a 2019, because I do prefer this profile a little bit more. I mean, it's so good. I could kill half a bottle of this, unfortunately, in one sitting, you know, and pay the price later, of course. But it would be hard to stop drinking this 2024, just as it is to... It's just as hard to stop drinking this 2019. So Jeb says, I like the 2019 sample more than the 2024, maybe due to the fact that it's only been open a few weeks. It just seems like it needs time to flap its wings. I do wonder if it's going to open up to the same level, because maybe this was not that way when I first opened the bottle. I'm not sure. Man. Once upon a time, guys, on the giveaways, I had somebody at the end of a stream comment something really shitty and say, like, that it was rigged and all this stuff. And I'm just like, I literally do everything right in front of you on a shared screen. And if I knew how to rig that, that would be masterful, you know? But there's also no pattern of who wins. But I had already signed off the stream when I saw that comment, so I couldn't address it. Devin, but how does that compare to your 08 GTS? We will never know, Devin. That is the answer. At least not tonight. Jeb says, my 2024 is down to the Evan Williams. Oh my God, bro. You've put a hurtin' on that in like 2 weeks. It is hard to stop drinking these damn things. All right, so what have we learned on this live stream? What has been accomplished tonight? Well, barrel picks have been made for River Roots Rise. We're going to do the beam pick as soon as they get the samples sent down here. I actually snagged this 11-year MGP bourbon now, which is the same stock as the Dark Arts, but I'm not going to compare this tonight. That would be way too much. But that'll be interesting to see. So we figured out the River Roots thing. We figured out a comparison between the Junkies and the Drums and Drams Dark Arts with Matt's Backbone. All three very interesting whiskeys in their own way. The Middle West wheat whiskey is some serious whiskey. I actually think I prefer it in a lot of ways to the 8-year bourbon they just released. They're just different whiskeys, different styles. Jeb, I hate you so much. Finish with the 25-year MGP Light whiskey. Let it rip. I don't know if I can do that, bro. Where's that even at? Here's what I'll do, Jeb. So what is this? Oh my, 147 proof? Come on. I will take the smallest little rip off the top of this, and that's it. I'm not even putting it in a glass. I don't want to explore this whiskey. There you go. Actually, that's not the... That's probably top 3% light whiskeys I've ever tasted. But any further analysis will have to wait to another night. 25-year light whiskey, don't be a bitch. Such anger removing the gripper. I hate you so much. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Congrats to everybody that won the giveaway. Thanks to Jesse for the samples, Jeb for the samples, Joe for the samples of this new riff, Pink Dan for the dry fly sample and this comparison, River Roots, of course. Dark Arts Pick, guys, drops tomorrow for the Patreon, so best way to support the channel. Obviously, the super chats are incredibly helpful, but on a consistent basis, even just $5 a month in the Patreon is so helpful. And $5-10, those two lower tiers, everybody pretty much still has access to any barrel that we pick, except for a 30-gallon or a short barrel like the Middle West. Otherwise, the Patreon is so I don't want to say small. It's 150 members now, paid members, but it's still at a point that's feasible for everybody to get a bottle. So it is an incredibly easy way to support the channel and so effective. It's like less than Netflix, you know. So if you want to consider that, I would appreciate it so much. But thanks, guys. That's going to do it. I need a day off of whiskey. I'm going to see if I can cut up this video of the Helldiver and Peregrine review. If I can just cut it up with jump cuts, because I only used one camera, and try to make something out of it. I rambled for 17 minutes. I would say believe it or not, but you would believe it. It was unwatchable. So I'm going to see what I can do to that tomorrow. Otherwise, I do have Scotch Sunday already recorded, already ready to go, and that will be out on Sunday. And that's going to do it. So cheers, y'all. And thanks to the Bourbon Junkies for a great time yesterday as well at River Roots. Have a good night. 2024 Evan Williams, 23.